Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday and it is January 2nd. And don't be like me and write the wrong inventory date of 24 on all your stuff for yesterday, because I just realized I have to go back and change my date on everything. If you're wanting to join us, we are Reseller Revenue Facebook group. We meet every day, Monday through Thursday. Plus, we have lots of niche calls and a very active Facebook group. If you would like to join, go there and it'll direct you to our Patreon and sign up there and start joining us. I see a lot of people found us this morning, which is great. Our new time is now 9 o'clock Central Time. So hopefully that helps some people be able to jump in here. I appreciate everybody taking time to show up. I know it's hard to get going after the holidays, but we need to get back on it. Hopefully next week, having a full week will get us all back on track. So today we have the clothing call, I believe, as long as they're going to have it at it's clothing call at 10 Central, so right after this call. I hope that helps too. So now there's almost all the niche calls. There's something following this call, so there won't be any more breaks. So that'll help, I think. So the clothing call is right after this call, and then right after that call is the serious sellers call, which is the numbers accountability call. And then following that is our balanced life call. So unless I know Marsha didn't feel good, so I didn't know if Becky was doing that today or not. So that one I'm not sure on. But so Thursdays are jam-packed day. It's just one call after another, clear to like 12:30 or 1. So all right, we're going to talk about action steps. I'm not a New Year's resolution girl, and I'm an action plan type of person. So hopefully we can know what we want for this year, and hopefully we've been giving it some thought, and hopefully we can take some action on how to make it happen. So I know that, so I think I ended up at 145 this year, and I am absolutely sure I can hit 200 K gross next year. And my net, I think, was like 86. I'm pretty sure I can hit that 100K net next year. So I have an action plan written out on how to get there. So if you guys have goals and number goals, or maybe you just have a goal to either spend, some people's was to spend less time on eBay. That's fine too. Whatever it is that meets your goals and metrics and what you're trying to get accomplished with your business, that's the right answer. So if it's to do less and enjoy life more, then that's great too. But if you're trying to hit these numbers and we're trying to make goals, we need to be able to tell us how we're going to get them. We can learn from the bad things that happened to us this year, and we can learn from the good things that happened this year. If things are working, do more of that. It's so easy to have a bad day, a bad month, a bad whatever, and hit a roadblock. And then you just feel like, why am I even doing this, right? We were talking about promoted listings earlier. If you find it, in my experience, that is something that's so vastly different for everybody. I can never tell you, you need to do this and it'll work for promoted listings. Maybe I can give you some good guidelines if you're selling just jewelry like me, but really it's very store dependent, very store dependent. But when you find that sweet spot, don't fight it. That's my advice on promoted listings for 2025 is if you find that sweet spot where sales are really cooking and you can afford it in your bottom line, go for it. Put it to the floor and go for it. It's so easy for me to all of a sudden have good sales and everything's going along great at the promoted listing rate I'm at. And then what happens, guys? Then you start thinking, well, I don't need this. Look at all the sales I'm doing. I'm not going to give eBay all that extra money. And then I back it down and guess what happens? The breaks happen. And so I don't know why I feel like as eBay sellers and Poshmark sellers, and we find stuff that works and then we back off of it. And that's, I do that. So don't do that to yourself. You find what works, go for it. You'll find your own sweet spots with that. Make sure you give yourself at least, I would say 4 to 6 weeks when you're doing experiments, because it does take time, but just find your own sweet spot. Today I want to hear something in your 2025. This is, basically how I'm going to make it happen. You don't have to give me the whole rundown if you don't want to, but just something that you're going to take action on in 2025 that is going to help move your business forward. What are we going to do either different, or what are we going to do more of, or no problem, Angela. I'm surprised as many people got on here and made it as they did with the time change. So I appreciate it. And just so you guys know, the password does change tomorrow. You should be getting an email in Patreon, or a message should be visible to you tomorrow in Patreon. So I'll be doing that. Not tomorrow. We don't have calls tomorrow. The next time we meet, the password is different. So if you don't get it and you think you should have gotten it, please contact me and I'll help you through it. So nobody has anything good they're doing for 2025? Meg, what are you doing for 2025 or not doing?
I'm going to be sourcing more, and to start with, so at least for the jewelry portion of it, I'm gonna online source at least 15 minutes, like at the first, like right away in the morning, and then I have to pick a time still, but then at least 15 minutes at night too. Because I find when I do actually search for things, like, gee, I find inventory, and then I have inventory. What a concept. Because I was right before the end of the year trying to like spend as much as I could for inventory because I needed it, A, and B, to spend down my like profits a little bit, and it was like, oh wow, this was easier than I thought. Like I just need to do this more. Yeah.
And maybe it's just in jewelry, but I do find, because I get up so early, if I get on there and do my saved searches first thing in the morning, I get better. It's like early bird gets the worm type of thing before other people are snatching up good inventory. So I do think that's a good
It
time.
is hit or miss, but I need to at least be doing it more to have the chances to do that.
Yep, I think everybody can apply that, and myself included. The more chances you give yourself, the more chances you have for success. That's a fact. And so while I don't always feel like, and sometimes I feel like, well, I don't really need it, but sometimes if we just get out there and we look, and it keeps our skills sharp too. So, I don't always like going to 15 antique malls when I know I might get 3 or 4 things, but it keeps me sharp, keeps me in the game. Nadine says she's expanding her sourcing. She found some new stores to try, but first she must list or donate all current inventory. That's a good plan, Nadine. So if we are going in a different direction with sourcing, if we have a bunch of inventory on hand, we have to make decisions. So we need to make decisions. Do we keep it? Do we, and if we're going to keep it in a queue and list it, then sometimes we have to put the brakes on sourcing, because I do know some of us have like a year's worth of inventory. And if that's the case, then maybe we need to, it's okay to get rid of it, but we need to do something with that current first. I agree. That's awesome. Angela said, okay, yep, that's great. And Mimi, so we can do it again. There's no problem. Go on the YouTube channel or in Patreon, and there is a video titled Online Sourcing that I did not that long ago, and it should be of some help to you. Audrey, good morning. Are you still with grandbaby?
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I got a little bit of time with my new grandson, but I'm back home now. I wanted to say that I think I am still basically in the stage of setting up just my infrastructure. I guess that's the best way to put it. And I don't feel like I can really focus on any kind of growth until I get that done. But I suspect that that's going to be done really soon. But I think after that, I would like to focus on getting better at sourcing. So that's what I foresee in the near future.
Yep, that's fantastic. And a couple of people reached out to me and they're talking about upping their listing goals this year, which is great. And but like Audrey said, if we don't have, and I think she's right on track. If you don't have those systems in place and those processes in place first, and they're working, right? So we can't just have them, we have to have tried them out and have them working, then we should not necessarily be growing right now. And if we don't have a good, decent sell-through rate, that's sometimes a sign that we need to not grow yet. It's like, I would really like to go for 30. I know I can do 30. However, my processes, I don't have enough room right now in my current inventory system to do 30. And my sell-through rate's just over 50%. That's not high enough, because otherwise what's going to happen? My store is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And then I don't necessarily want it to get bigger and bigger without the sell-through rate following it. So I need to give it a little more time to get used to my 25 before I grow. Yes, yes, Larry, what you got?
Yeah, I got a number of things going on here. For this coming year, I've done some soul searching on, what my stress levels have been and what's causing my stresses and various other things. A lot of it's related to my workflows and the fact that because I'm an everything seller, I have multiple workflows. For the most part, I'm doing okay. I'm just juggling way too many balls, and so I've got piles in a variety of places. I got inventory in a variety of stages, et cetera, et cetera. So while I was on vacation here, I kind of mapped it out. It's like, okay, if I can niche down, so I want to niche down. I'm probably always going to be an everything seller, but I want a higher percentage to be in a couple of niches that I really want to focus on. Another thing that's happening here is that they've raised the rate on my storage locker roughly 40%. And yeah, so it went from 200 to 280. And so I'm gonna deal with that by moving that inventory back into the garage. And in order for that to happen, I've got to do a number of things. One is I got to clear a bunch of stuff out of the garage, both sellable stuff. I got some bikes that I got to get rid of, etc. And I'm trying to move a lot of the inventory, both the old crap that's never going to sell anyway, and I've got a bunch of old shoes that I'm trying to get rid of. So those are those are what I'm dealing with here. I'm going to forego figuring out my sourcing strategy for the 2 new niches that I'm dealing with. In the meantime, I am learning more. I've watched a bunch of videos last night. I'm planning on watching videos in my spare time, but I'm gonna getting out of that storage locker and getting myself to a position where I can niche down is my short-term goal.
Yep, and that's great. And so that is our goals and stuff don't always have to be financial. Sometimes it is stress related, and that's why we went over that last week was, what's causing you stress? And that's something we all need to consider, because when I asked myself that last year, it was my inventory system. It was when I couldn't find something that was causing me stress. And so we do have the power lots of times to minimize our stress levels in our business. And we just have to be able to pinpoint exactly what's causing it and then how to fix it. So that's good that you did that, Larry. And that's crazy. That's really hard that's crazy. Yeah, I think that kind of an increase, you really got to be able to absorb it or not.
Yeah.
Lynn says sourcing is the most important thing for you this year. She needs to expand that, getting rid of excess unsellable inventory. My goal is 120K gross. To get there, I need to sell 4,137 items a year, which is 12 items a day, netting 450 each. So what I love about Lynn's plan is, for one, she exactly how I would tell everybody to do it. She has a goal, and then she tells you how she's going to get there. And it's not unrealistic. Like if Lynn got on there, just because I've known her for a long time in her business structure, and she says, I'm going to do 250K, which she's totally capable of. I'm not saying that. 250K, and I'm going to net I'm going to net $30 per item. And this is how I'm going to get there. Then we might say, okay, it's very hard to go from, if she's been doing 15 to go to $15 to $30 net an item, right? Her goals are realistic, and they need to be realistic, or else we're just hoping and wishing. So unless we have a plan how to get there. So she has the goal for the gross, and then she says how many items she has to sell a year, which is obtainable. She's capable of doing that. And that's 12 a day. She's totally capable of doing 12 a day. And her net profit per item is very realistic. If we set ourselves up with unrealistic goals and unrealistic ways to obtain those goals, we're just setting ourselves up to fail. Right? We're just like crossing our fingers and hoping, and that doesn't really work. So if you could write down your goal process for 2025, exactly how Lynn did it, and have it all be realistic, that's a win there. So that's exactly what mine looks like. I have the amount per year, how many I have to sell, what that averages out to, and what my net per item has to be. And we all should be able to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, let me know, and we can do a call next week on how to figure that out. Well, Melinda said she's still new, so no problem. That's great. Yep. And understanding our bookkeeping like that and doing that is she has a series, Cheryl has a series of videos that's like labeled beginner. It's really good. And if you watch those a few times, she walks right through it. And if you have questions still like next week, let me know. Just raise your hand during one of these times. We can always jump in and help too. Or in the community workroom in the mornings, there's lots of people that use the workbook in there. So
Okay.
absolutely.
I have watched the videos. Y'all are just so knowledgeable that it's a little intimidating.
Nope. We're more than happy to just walk you step by step through it. Because once you get it, you get it. It's not something that's hard forever. It's just hard at the beginning. So
Right.
you'll be fine.
Okay.
And if anybody's interested in me doing a video next week on how to set up your goal to look like Lynn's, as far as structure and how to get to it, work it backwards. But when I say work it backwards, that's exactly what I mean, is what Lynn did. Work it backwards. We can do that if you want. And I don't mind doing some, there's nothing wrong with doing some beginner videos. There's nothing wrong with doing, because we have to catch everybody. I don't want anybody to feel left behind or intimidated. And I was kind of thinking of like one day a week is a set day for people that need structure, need, basic stuff, need to get their processes up. Because for one, everybody could use a reminder. And for another, it would probably be it might be a smaller group that day, but then it'd be more one-on-one for the people who need some help, and that's fine. I don't mind doing that at all. So I'm playing with schedule stuff. So and we could do the workbook then too, because I don't want anybody to buy Cheryl's workbook and then be paralyzed and not utilize it. So even though like it's not my product, I believe in it, and I believe in how it will help you. Yeah, Russell says he's usually available during of call. I bet he means before the call before. So that community, yeah,
The off call, when we're not in calls,
yep.
I'm usually
Okay,
here.
got you.
I was here 2 hours prior to the call today, and I'm gonna try to be here every day for 2 hours prior to this call.
Yeah, and so that the 2 hours like from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time, the 24-hour room is totally open before our calls, and it's a great time to set even if you work with your camera off or put your camera on but mute yourself and just work. Some people find that motivating, and if you could say, hey, before I step into that morning call at 9, I've got 9 before 9, or I've got 5 done before 9, or you have that goal, and then when you meet that goal, it's going to feel really good. And you're gonna have that totally knocked out of your day. So when you get off the call on here for the day, you're like way ahead of the game. And so I try to have all mine done before the morning calls. And I'm gonna actually try to add something else in it now that it's later. But I get up super early. If you don't get up super early, there's nothing wrong with that. You just gotta plan your day accordingly. But even if you could knock out 5 before the calls, you're ahead and you'll feel good about it. And then you can build on that. This morning I got all messed up on my time because I had to ship like 50 or 60, I think I had 60 items to ship this morning, which is not a normal Thursday. So it kind of threw me for a Rowdy wasn't excited about getting up at 5 to pull more items either. Carolyn said she's usually on from 1 to 7 Eastern for any help. Yep, both really good people. Carolyn's a master at the workbook too, so she's really, really a good helper on that. Lots of people to help. You just got to be able to ask for help. So if you're out there and you're just starting and you haven't even made your first listing yet, I guarantee you we're gonna have people come in that are like that. That's totally fine. Just say so. Tons of people willing to help. We just have to know what you need. Russell, what are you doing for the new year? We have an action plan?
As I'm transitioning into a new category, revamping everything, my processes, all of it needs to be revamped. But I do plan on having that done by the end of January. And I've decided I'm gonna continue to sell clothing. I'm just gonna I'm gonna slowly reduce my daily listing in clothing and replace it with car parts instead. I just feel like the transition will be a lot smoother that way, and the algorithm won't beat me up too bad all at once.
That's probably true. Rowdy said that vintage car dashboard fans is where it's at. He's been having some really great luck with that this week. Don't even have wires attached to them or anything. I don't know what these people are doing with them, but he's been having some great luck with those this week. How about anybody else? What are we doing? Even if it's just a small goal, or even if it's hey, this worked really well, I'm going to do more of it, or maybe this didn't work and I'm done with it. Another one of mine is I'm not going to have my promotions be emotional based. So I actually made a calendar. So I have a content calendar that I plan out my calls for because I hate feeling unprepared. So I have a calendar with my content on it. I also on that calendar have run this percentage of coupon for this amount of time, run this promotion, run that promotion, because then I'm not making knee-jerk reactions with my promotions, because it's so easy to have a bad day and want to be like, well, I'll just throw up a coupon. Does anybody else do that? Where you're like, boy, I'm not making any sales. I think I'll run a sale. Right? When in all actuality, that probably, I mean, maybe it does do something, but it's a business. We should plan for it. So I'm trying to make less knee-jerk reactions and have them based out on a plan. Maybe making more aggressive offers is okay if you haven't had any sales that day, but running a whole new promotion or something, we should probably try to plan out, especially as your business grows. And I'm going to try running different promotions at different times of the month to see how big of a difference it makes. And I think it does. I don't know if you guys I can like tell you when Social Security checks come out based on eBay. But I think I have a lot of people filling up carts for jewelry and then they check out when they get their check. So, which makes sense. So, Gary.
Yeah, so I think my goal is just to be more complete and thorough. I've kind of got my processes in place. I feel pretty good about most of them. But like with bookkeeping, I'm kind of up on bookkeeping, but usually I'm catching up and, oh, I didn't put this in. I got to go back and I'm gonna try to do it in the right way as I go and not be playing catch up and all the time.
Well, and you've done a pretty good job. I mean, Harry's got a pretty nice process and all that stuff down. He does a pretty good job. And
It looks better. It sounds better than it is.
I think you do a nice job. And I think sometimes we feel like we're failing if we're not constantly increasing, and that's not true. I'm a big believer in we all hit the spot where that's where we want to be. You don't have to continuously be growing to be successful. And you don't need, maybe you just start refining what you do and do more. I think Statia's kind of at that point, right, Stacia? Aren't you kind of like happy with where you're at and just keep doing what you're doing?
Yes, yep. Just
Mhm.
like we talked a little bit maybe at the beginning of the fourth quarter or into third quarter, and I'm on a plan and stay in the course.
Yep. And to me, that's a big sign of success. You don't have to constantly be growing to be successful. Sometimes it's like finding those sweet spots and getting focused in on it and doing what you know how to do. And Statia's got a good high ASP. She sources, she's very particular with her sourcing. She doesn't have a death pile. She's pretty dialed in. And if I can get that dialed in, I will be super happy too. So um I told Meg the other day, like I was so excited that I found this box of inventory that before my surgery, I think Jed had shoved it over somewhere and I just didn't realize it was there. And it was like amazing. And I'm sitting there while I'm going through this box thinking, I would totally hire this person to source for me. First, it was me, right? But it was super exciting. It was all really great stuff. And I have no idea how I didn't notice that it wasn't there. But being dialed in enough to like where I would notice every single piece of inventory that came in where it went, right? So my queue's too big right now. I don't notice what's in it or not. I think I still have like 62-day queue or something like that, which is too big for me. But I did it for my surgery and then I didn't go through it fast enough. So I'm backing off of sourcing. I turned down some really big deals this week. Because I don't want to be picking up since I am ahead of the game, my goal is to kind of be more like Stacia, and the fact that I don't want to pick up anything that I'm not just really excited about. So I'm trying not to bring anything else in the business that I'm not just like, that's great. And I think there's some kind of, it's so much easier to list when you're just really excited to get something in your store. And so for New Year's Day, that was my treat to myself, since we don't do anything to celebrate anything ever, is I gave myself the whole 25 items were great items. And it was like the fact that I was so excited to list was so energizing that I'm like, this is what I want for the future. I want to be this excited about my listing day every day. And while it's going to take some time to get there, I think I can get there. And I think all of us can get there. And maybe that's not important to you, but it is to me. Like I was just super excited about every single thing I listed, and it made that job so much easier. So that's one of my huge goals for 2025. And I do have to redo I gotta remember to do that, redo my dates. Anybody else? Devin, what are you doing for 2025?
So we grossed just shy of 73 this year.
Great.
Haven't done the math on it yet, but I mean, we did, I think it was just about 36 or 37 last year. And I was projected, when I first started running numbers back in August, I was projected to do between about 64,000. And I was just crossing my fingers for that, knowing how much it slows down around Christmas time. And then we just completely blew that out of the water. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting December to be as good as it was. Not to mention that that Christmas Eve was like was in my top 5 selling days for the quarter. I couldn't believe that. I mean, I expected to be crickets, you know. And so I've got to run the math on it to find out what we got to do. Some you just said a second ago, my wife was actually listening, and that's the first thing I heard her get excited about hitting the numbers and stuff like that. And so,
Yep.
you're working on her.
I'm trying, Devin.
And
But you
so
guys have such good potential, right?
I
I mean,
know.
like I see so much good potential with you guys. Yep, you
Thank
guys
you.
got it.
But so no, I mean, I want to gross 100 this next year. I know we can do it. I just got to put the numbers on it to figure out exactly. When I ran the numbers initially earlier in the spring last year, I think we was going to have to sell, or I was going to list like 22 or 23 per day. to be able to gross that 100. But my biggest, I mean, other than that, my biggest goal for this next year is establish relationships.
Mhm.
I got to get the consistency of flea markets, finding other people and stuff like that. Not only to get people bringing me stuff. Not, I mean, I'll go meet them somewhere, but I mean, I want to establish relationships to where that I can go to people, pick up a load, and spend 1 hour doing something versus 4 or 5 hours.
Mhm.
But on a bonus to that, though, is that I do not want to be out there in June, July, and August at 5 and 6 hours a day, just miserably hot. In the flea market out there in that parking lot, just out there. There's, I've got big giant hats are amazing, but I guess I'm getting to the age now to where it's like, when you're a kid, I see my kids running around outside, they don't even think about how hot it is. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
my God, if it's gonna be 80 degrees and over, I don't even want to be outside anymore.
Well, for
And
me,
so,
nobody wants to see me do that either, right? I mean, it's not attractive watching me all beat face, sweating
yeah.
all over. So, it's not attractive. Look for me.
Well, it's like, this past Sunday, it was 65 degrees. I'm like, I need to be there. She wanted
Hmm.
me to take the time off. I'm going, that's fine, but it's at 65 in December.
Well, when you get your job figured out to better fit everything, that's going to be huge. And
Yeah.
then as much as maybe you don't want to hear it, you got to take that wife with you, Devin, because she's the one doing the listings. She's in the game.
No,
So
I
you
don't
got
have no problem taking her with
to
me. It's just,
take her
I
with
just
you.
wanted
And
let's put it this way. I want my Sundays to be for us. You
Mhm.
know, we have a church that we really, really enjoy going to, and we miss out on a lot of that. And so, unfortunately, the flea market culture here in the Dallas area, maybe even from what I've seen, it's even the whole Texas in general. Sundays are 10 times the size versus there on Saturday. And even though it's going to be 110 degrees by 10 a.m., the vendors are not even showing up till like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
So you hear about people talk about, getting out there at flashlights at 5 a.m., digging through stuff. The
No,
culture
ours
is
don't
not
either.
like that here.
I mean, if it opens at 8, you might see most of it open by 8:30 or 9. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like ours aren't real early either. But yeah, I agree with Ethel. Sourcing is the most important thing to master for success. And like, so I have a few people that are actively sending me sourcing boxes a month. The one I pay average like $4.50 per item in there. Some of the items I end up not listing, right? So then it makes my increased cost of goods up. However, there are on a regular basis, there's over $100 items all the time. And they're just things I don't have access to. They have amazing flea markets. So he had that storage unit that was just full, right? So we've gone through all that. It's over. But he's like, well, my mom can send us boxes, right? So I said, well, we'll try it 1 month, see how it goes. Because he's like, she's where I was getting that stuff at. I moved. I'm like, all right, we'll see how mom does. Well, see, he sent it. It looked exactly like his stuff. And I'm like, this looks exactly like you went and got this stuff. Same stuff. And he's like, well, yeah, who did I learn this from? My mom. I've been shopping with jewelry with my mom at flea market since I could toddle through the aisles. He's like, so I learned from her. So there's two people making money off of me, right? Mom's getting a kickback and he's just basically repackaging the box and sending it on to me. That's it. Do I care? Nope, I sure don't, because it's still stuff I don't have access to otherwise. He's reliable. He sends it right away. He knows what I like. If I had to hand train somebody, and he says, I'm gonna add some new stuff this time. You tell me if you like it and we will or we won't do it again. But I think it's stuff you'd like. And it was all like Home Shopping Network jewelry. And it was great. It was all like Nolan Miller and stuff like that. Perfect. Great. I'm like, do more of that. He knows I like Zippos. So my box always has some Zippos in there. So if you can find somebody that like thinks how you think in your niche, it can help you source in ways that you don't have access to. It's really good. Would I tell him no? I got a few bad boxes that weren't great. And he's like, yep, we're at the bottom of the box. I agree. And he made them like 25% of what I've been paying. So they were really cheap. It was still worth it. So find somebody that thinks like you think. It's hard to train people in niches. And they're never going to be as good as what we are, right? They're never going to be, maybe they can be, but it's hard. So if you can find somebody that already thinks how you think, that's great. Otherwise, being able to master our own sourcing is super important. And if you haven't gotten to that level yet, that's also a sign maybe not to not to grow yet. You know, maybe we, hone in on those sourcing skills. And Stacya's a huge example of that as far as what great sourcing looks like. She's picky, she's particular. The stuff that goes in her store, you just don't see a lot of junk, and so then when her sales on the other end are amazing, it's not a coincidence. It's because she's doing a great job sourcing, right? So nothing's really ends up being a coincidence. It's like a product of our productivity. And I do think we need to make sourcing a bigger part of our world and not just guesswork. I think sometimes we're having guesswork or we're filling our cart full of stuff that isn't any good. So go in that corner, price comp our stuff. You will see results. There's just no doubt about it. You will see the results. The hard work will pay off.
That's nothing worse than like listing bad stuff. Like it makes you feel bad. It makes me feel bad when I photograph it. I'm like, nobody wants this.
It's not motivating. It's not
motivating. It's awful. Like it's so much more fun. It makes this business more fun and you make more money when you're like, this is such a cool item. Like this is so nice. I want to keep it for myself.
And it's exciting. That's what I felt like on New Year's Day when I'm like, I'm just going to give myself the whole all of my inventory today is going to be great. And it wasn't as hard to work because it was fun to list because I couldn't wait to get that out there. 3 things sold in 2 hours. That wasn't a coincidence. It's because it was good stuff. And I knew it was good stuff. And when I get lots, I don't cherry pick out the good stuff. So if I get lots and I have, pretty good stuff and I have really great stuff, I sprinkle that great stuff throughout the queue because I want it to keep giving, Yes, good morning, Paula. I talk to you a lot, but I don't ever get to see your smiling face.
I know. Hi, everybody. So I'm really excited about 2025. I have a little bit more of a cushion because now I'm getting my Social Security. So it's making me look at how I want the rest of my life to go as far as reselling. And so eBay is half my income and the other half of my income is from a retail store. I get more money from that than I do on eBay. I sell mid-century modern home decor and it's all hard goods. So I pack, I use bubble, I do boxes, and I want to phase out of that because it is a lot of harder physical work. So jewelry is always something that I have collected, never really sold unless I had a valuable piece. So I don't know if you can see it behind me here, but I have a ton of
that
jewelry.
looks fun.
So what I'm planning on doing, I'm not used to Zoom, sorry. So what I'm planning on doing is using the morning calls in my house because I usually work in a cold storage. I don't have any heat or anything. And that's what I usually do in the morning is I bundle up and I go to storage and I work. So I bought a little light box and I put it in my spare bedroom and I laid all my jewelry out. So during the morning calls, I'm going to be working on jewelry. So I want to work on building that up over the next couple of years so I can transition at some point when I'm ready.
That's great. Well, and another perk is if you come across a piece of jewelry and you don't know what it is or what to do with it, I'm right here to help. So then you're like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Awesome.
Yep. No, I think that's great. I will say that when you buy bulk jewelry though, it doesn't become less labor intensive. I went to pull because I got to pull things right now since I'm on a scooter still. And I was like, I can't even pull this thing. This is ridiculous. You know how much jewelry's in that box, but it's a lot. So, but yeah, in general, shipping and stuff, I had to ship like 60 this morning or whatever. It wasn't fun. Like I don't love it, but it's not hard.
Right.
Right. It's not hard. While Rowdy's over there, packing car parts and stuff. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I will say that if you do the larger things, we get these the inserts for the bakery, the local bakery sells candles and they pack them in these they look like big egg crates, but I mean, they're big foam inserts. And Rowdy's found that if he goes and picks those up for free, they're great space fillers for big items and boxes. So, go ask stores like that because those things are expensive and it adds up. And shipping supplies are expensive.
They are.
And he takes all my packing peanuts, even though I would just really love people to never send me jewelry and packing peanuts ever again.
Speaking of packing supplies, with everybody dumping all their Christmas stuff at
Mm.
for garbage, keep an eye out for the kind of stuff that you use. I ran across a 3 by 4 foot sheet of 2-inch thick styrofoam. That's
Just give everything a
perfect
good
for
sniff
me.
first. Give everything a good sniff to make sure it's not smell like smoke or something.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I
That
get it
thing,
from the bakery.
I love the styrofoam for filling in voids with heavy stuff
Mhm.
in boxes.
And pool noodles, if you find huge clearance on pool noodles, those are such good shipping things. You can, whether it's jewelry or anything, because you can cut the middle out of it, you can cut them and then pack it around things. It like covers coffee mug handles wonderfully. You cut the center of a pool noodle in halfways and it just forms right around coffee cups. They're really great packing supplies. So sometimes you can find them, the dollar store when they're going out of season for a quarter, 50 cents. It's pretty good packing stuff. I love the pool noodles. They're good for putting pierced like earrings on too, for like pierced earrings, even the clip-on earrings, they go really well on there. All right, what else does anybody have? What are we doing? Great boot tree too. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. That would be. And they're disposable, so like if you mess them up, you just chuck them and try again. It's not that big of a deal. Does anybody have one of those the pillow pack, what do they call that? A lot of the YouTubers say they use them, where it makes your own pillows, like the cushion pillows, like packing
I saw
pillows.
someone do it on a Zoom call the other day.
Yeah, people say that they really like them. And then they have like the paper tape machines, which is that just you make your own tape? Like, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but
It's a water tape kind of thing. I think it's supposed to work better. I'm not sure. Or just make it look more professional than.
or maybe cheaper. Cause like this morning we Jed went through 3 things of big Scotch tape this morning, making more junk lot boxes for me. So like
Cool.
tape's expensive. Yeah, it was crazy. I think I have to clearance I have 13 boxes ready to go from this last couple weeks of me sorting, so I need to sell them off. Jason has a pillow machine. Yeah, I think they'd be good. I just don't know enough about them.
Jackie made a comment on the Facebook group a while back about shipping tape, and she said she switched from the 2-inch to 3-inch,
Mm-hmm.
and it reduced the amount of tape she uses drastically because
Mm.
she only has to go over the seam one time instead of twice.
That makes sense. Yep, that makes sense.
I got a good deal on mine. If it matters to people, there's there's several companies out there, but one was called StoroPack, and all of the Amazon warehouses under like the green or whatever it was, it's like, we commit to using less material. So they have decommissioned everything. The actual StoroPack machine went back to the company, but they had rolls galore that they were effectively throwing out. I had somebody that threw them up locally on Marketplace, and they were commissioned to, to discard them like a junker, like, to haul them away. And they were like, well, they're brand new, I'll just sell them. So I got them literally for like $5 a roll. And then the machine I leased out at like, I think it's like $15 a month or something like that.
Yeah, and if you use a lot of that stuff, it's probably worth it because shipping supplies are expensive. Larry says he's not a fan of the eBay 2-inch tape, doesn't stick as well. Yeah, I think eBay tape in general is terrible. I think it looks nice, functionality, not great.
It doesn't
Carolyn,
look nice
yeah.
if you got to use a lot of it, and so you have the eBay logo in all over the place and the
Yeah, it's
H.
like eBay crime scene because you're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah, I don't ever use eBay tape. It's terrible. It's really terrible. I get the big cases of the Scotch tape from Sam's Club, and it's pretty cheap and it's really good tape. Like it's excellent tape. So that's the cheapest I found and the best quality I found, even on Amazon or anything. So Carolyn.
Yeah, good morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
Yeah, I went over my stuff of what went wrong last year and what I'm planning for this year. I still don't know my number of days of inventory that I have left because my death pile is still so huge. I was doing that called a stress test of doing the listing 21 a day plus whatever sold that day. I did not make it to 5,000 by the end of the year because I was having a lot of sales and I just couldn't keep up with it. But I still made a huge dent. I still don't know what my number of days is, and I probably won't know for at least another month or two. Running that stress test kind of really exposed the cracks of of my systems or lack of them. The number one is that I could not reset to 0 each day. It was just, by the time I shipped, I listed, did whatever I could. It was impossible. So I know I can't do the 21 plus as much as I would like to, because when you don't put the stuff away and the inventory piles up and it's not, put where it's supposed to be, can't find the items, that adds stress to you. I can't do it anymore. So it was a major problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to 5 a day plus whatever sales. And then all the extra that I can list is just going to go into drafts. And then I'll reevaluate February 1st, see how I'm doing with the 5 plus. If I can raise it up to 10 plus each day, depending on the results, I'll do that. Another thing I need to do is, you had mentioned it too, is document more of my pricing and discount process to see what works, instead of just like this hit or miss or go with my gut or whatever. I really want to have the information in front of me. I kind of know what most of it is, but I really want to see it in black and white. I need to declutter more, which kind of goes hand in hand with my resetting to 0. For some reason, my desk is a magnet for stuff that either needs to be done, going to get done, doesn't ever get done. I need to be more diligent about that, because it just, I swear gremlins come in the middle of the night. It just, I don't know where it comes from, but it's there's a constant pile by the end of every week. So I need to focus more on that every day. Really, when I reset to 0, I need to reset my desk to 0 too, because it's a disaster. I'm going to limit my online sourcing because I have such a death pile. I don't do any, in-store sourcing any place at all. All I do is online sourcing is what I allow myself. I never do more than what I've actually sold, never even come close to it. But now I'm even limiting my online sourcing to, it has to be a $30 or more net. And that way I'm not going to have any, stragglers sitting in the store or anything, or any, low sell through or anything.
Good.
I did 63 plus last year, which was up 25% from the prior year, with all the medical crisis I had throughout the summer, and then the hurricane shutting down my stores. And I'm okay with that. I'm disappointed. I was really on a pace for almost close to 100, but it wasn't going to happen. It would be nice if I could do that this year. That's what I'm really going to try to shoot for. I'm going to continue to niche down and get out of shoes. It's just, I don't like shoes. I know they're more of a moneymaker for me, but I know Larry has struggled with saying that he doesn't really want to niche down, but I know the processes become so much easier when you don't have all variations to what you're doing. And you can still find, by niching down, it doesn't mean like you can't enjoy what you're doing. I mean, there's still plenty of things out there that you can enjoy selling, and it just not take away from you ramping up your sales and really ramping up your processes. So I'm encouraged by a lot of other people that I've seen do it, and it really made a huge effort to me, because I just know that I hate shoes anymore. I know they're money makers, but I hate picking up a pair of shoes that either ends up having dry rot because I had them for too long, or something's cracking on them, or they're harder to ship or whatever. That doesn't bring me joy. So it's gone. I mean, it's not going to be gone for a long time, because I still have a lot that I still have to list, but I refuse to pick up another pair of shoes anywhere. So
Caroline, for what it's worth, I've decided I am going to niche down, and I am also trying to get rid of my shoes as well.
good. Yeah. I know that, listen, I know you can make really good money with it, but and I'm really happy for people who find that and use and are able to make money with them. But it just, I'm finding that when I want to have where my business wants to be is, I want to have 3 size poly mailers. That's it. I don't want to have to be worrying about boxes or any other things. If I do have to have a bigger box because somebody puts in a big order for multiples of something, fine. But I I just don't want it. It's just I don't want to have to think about, oh my God, will this fit into this or will that? I'm over it. I want everything to fit in my 3 size poly mailers, small, medium, large. And if it doesn't fit in it, I'm not going to sell it. I don't care. I just don't
It's
care anymore.
awfully nice. I'm telling you, it's awfully nice. All I have to
Yeah.
do is hit the reorder button when I need supplies because it's always the same.
Yeah, and
Pretty
that's
nice.
what I did the last day of the year. I ordered supplies, and I only ordered supplies for things that I know I'm going to be selling in the future. If I have to find boxes, my sister can still find rare boxes that I need, if just something that fits either a larger purse or different
Mhm.
shoes or whatever. But I'm going to get out of that game. I would love to have all my shoes listed before June 1st is what I'm really hoping for. Which means I have to list them, and I hate listing them, but I'm going to do it. So I was hoping to do it by the end of this year. It didn't happen, because I was really trying to focus more on multiples of things that I could get up to try to hit that 21 plus. So I kind of
Mhm.
fudged the system a little tiny bit by working on multi quantities and getting those up, but I really have to list a bunch of one-offs, and I know it's going to take more time, but I'm just going to allow myself it and sprinkle it in amongst the the multi quantity listings. So
Oh,
that's where
Russell,
I'm at.
we're not opening up that controversy. I don't even sell shoes and I know it's controversial. I have no opinion.
Yeah.
Shipping shoes and poly mailers. Lots of people do it though. So hey, whatever works for, if I ordered shoes and they came in a poly mailer and they were in okay condition, I don't care. Kind of like jewelry when people complain what they come in. Oh, as long as it's not broke, I don't really care. I have one guy that wraps all my jewelry up in like paper towels, like the ones in every single piece of, I don't care because my stuff is never scratched. So I don't care if you use dang brand new toilet paper, as long as it's brand new and it's cleaned, I don't care as long as my jewelry comes the way it's supposed to. So I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I do ship some shoes in poly mailers. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some sandals, some flats, things like that. But like bigger boots and stuff, that I don't want them wrapped over each other. If they're higher
mhm.
boots,
Or bend them or
if I
high
had
heels.
high heels, I can't. I
Mhm.
just because
Yep.
they're going to poke right through it, no matter how many times I
Yep.
wrap it up. And to stick it in a box, the thing is, it doesn't cost that much more to put it into a box. It's just the
Right.
storage for me. I have so much inventory. I just don't want the storage to be taken up by shipping supplies.
I do kind of
So
agree with Meg.
yeah.
Maybe, I mean, do you have it in you, Carolyn, to kind of take chunks of that dust pile and liquidate it to get your, the weight that it's got on you that, just liquidate, start over, keep going?
No, because I really like the fact that I don't have to go out sourcing. I love that because my time's limited with my mom, so I don't have to run out and get it. It's stuff that I know I'm going to be making at least 20 some dollars each on every single one. So why am I going to pass that off
Yeah,
and then I'm going to have to go run around and I might be outsourcing and my mom needs me, and you know what I mean? That's really tough for me. So I'm trying to do a
I get that.
balancing act with that. Um, if it got that bad, I would do it. I mean, in a heartbeat. I remember, oh gosh, months and months ago when we talked to Autumn about, I said, somebody came in and offered you, sell everything for like 20% off of everything. Would you take it? And she was like, no, I wouldn't. And I was like, man, in a heartbeat, I would, you know?
I would
So
too.
I know when push comes to shove, and if I need the money that desperately or the space that desperately, I would do it. I'm actually getting more room in my spare. I mean, not more room. I'm getting more open space. So I know the stuff's going away. It's
Good.
just it just takes time. So
Yep,
I'm gonna get
it
there.
does. I'm going to take Belinda real quick and then we'll wrap up for today. But before I forget, Serious Sellers call at 11 following the clothing call. If you are interested in it, please come and just watch. You don't have to participate, but just watch and we can help you figure out how to get the numbers for next time. And I think it's excellent. It's done really great things for me, just tracking myself. Nobody's having a contest. Nobody cares what your numbers are. It's just for yourself. So don't worry about that. Just come and check it out and see if you like it. People have asked me about the Level It Up levels call for next Thursday. That'll be right before this call in the morning. And it's going to be like a round table. It's not recorded. It will be in a private room. It's more of a for yourselves. Like I will help orchestrate it and throw some ideas out, but it's more of a like bounce ideas off of other people taking selling as seriously as you are. Maybe because we're not recording it, you feel more comfortable saying, here's my sales pattern, here's this, what do you think I should do about it? Where my cash flow is messed up, can you look at it? it's to bounce, it's not like a lecture type of call, it's a round table type of call. So it is what you guys make of it, and I will help move it along. But it is, it's more of a like, let's make it all about you guys and where you're at right now, and maybe other coworkers can help you think of solutions type thing. Don't forget to change your membership level before tomorrow. So do it today if you can, please, because tomorrow I'm going to be taking out the memberships will all be changed over to the paying memberships. So everything will be locked down on Patreon and in the Facebook group tomorrow. So make sure we get anything we need to get changed today. Belinda, what can we do for you?
So I had posted on Facebook about the INAD that I got. I sent a sweater and it was clearly marked large. Tags were large. Everything was, and the buyer sent it back and said, obviously not a large, and put me down as an item not as described. So I reported it like the advice you guys gave me. So what do I just sit and wait, or is anything happening?
There's no waiting. You got an INAD. I mean, like you got it.
So it can't come off?
It can. So Russell says his all come off. I fight mine, but since they changed the process, I can't get any of them removed. eBay tells me it's the process of getting an INAD, not the process as if it was true. That is since the process has changed. I have not had one of them. Even the ones that the cases were in my favor, I haven't gotten removed. So they just are what they are, but they're not hurting me. I mean, you're fine. Like if you're not in the high category, you're good. You have to get a lot of them before it hurts you. And you have to have like 10 before they'll assess any penalty. So it's not really doing anything bad to you. But you handled the return, correct? Like you processed it and you gave her money back and all that good stuff.
Yes. And I reported, like the advice was, report her as wrong,
yep. And I agree.
Wrong buyer excuse or whatever it was. But anyway, so even on that metrics sheet where it shows the return metrics and stuff, like it has me higher than average on everybody else because I don't have enough sales,
the
to
volume,
balance it off. And I don't know. I guess that's the emotion that I need to take out of it.
Yeah. And you're going to get them, right? Do you have free returns?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I don't know why they feel the need, and maybe it was a measurement thing, like, did you have the measurements of it in your listing as well
I did
as
not put measurements. It just
so
had the tag of the
different
large.
Yeah, and so with women's, was it a women's clothing or men's?
Women's.
With women's, we got to take measurements. Like they're just wonky, right? Like I can do 3 different sizes depending on what brand it is. You absolutely have to have measurements for all women's clothing, or you're going to have a problem. It's just, unfortunately, it's just the way it is. And if you look in most women's clothing, like the big clothing sellers, they all have measurements. So on top of having measurements, I feel like we need to have pictures of the rulers in the pictures on top of the measurements. So if we have no measurements, you're going to get INADs. It's just
so that's my 2025 moving forward is measurements.
That's right. And like you don't know until you don't know, right? So clothing sellers, that's right? Yeah, I would definitely have measurements. You're going to have issues because like I said, I wear 3 different sizes depending on what brand I buy. So prevents the issue with typing in the wrong description. Yep, put it in the photos. Yep, I agree. So that's just a growing thing for you. That's just a learning thing. It's very annoying, but it's life. You'll find lots of things on eBay aren't fair. So sometimes when I'm saying how something is, people will be like, well, that's not fair. Yeah, I know it's not fair. Doesn't mean I like it. It just is what it is. There's lots of things on eBay that aren't fair. It just is what it is. So Lisa said we don't have to do anything other than join the Patreon level, right? Reading the email kind of made me think, nope. So if you're already in, you just won't be booted. So you're cool. So tomorrow, anybody that isn't on a 2025 level plan will just be removed. So if you're already in it, if I accidentally remove you, because in Patreon, they don't necessarily always give me the name. Lots of times I just get the email. So if I can't identify the email, I don't always know who it is. So the new password will come tomorrow. Since we don't have a call tomorrow after I get that all done, everybody will get the new password. It should come in an email from Patreon, which gets blocked by spam a lot of the time. So make sure it's not. And I think I can make posts according to levels in Patreon. So it's only visible to people at certain levels. I'm going to try to do that also. So I can't put it in the Facebook because there's a level that doesn't include Zoom. Otherwise, I would just put it in Facebook, but I can't.
I already got the email with the password.
Okay. Yep. Then you're good.
Okay.
Yep. Then you're good. Yeah, people that were newly signed up, they got a password and an email already, but everybody else will get an email again. So I'm gonna try to double cover it. Meg.
At what dollar amount do you add added insurance if you do ever? I never really noticed it until now, and I was like, oh, maybe I should because it's like $293, and it's like, and then if so, do I do the ship cover or the regular USPS added insurance?
So personally, I eat the first like $75, and after that, I do add it, and I do signature required after that amount too, just because people have porch pirates, and if it just shows delivered and then disappears, there's a problem. So I
the
just do
293 you
the
would?
regular
Okay.
insurance.
But I'm sorry.
I
So for
just
the
do the
293,
regular.
you'd add insurance and tell her that she needs to sign for it?
Yeah, make sure she knows that she'll have to. I would ask her first, because if she's in a situation where she absolutely can't sign for it, then it doesn't, do you any good. But
Yeah,
they
because
can
it
sign for it
might be a
electronically.
freight forwarder too.
So they have an agent, I'm sure, at the front,
Okay,
whatever. But
okay.
yeah, they can also sign electronically for signature required. I do it. That's how I sign for all my packages is on USPS. You can sign up to do it electronically. Yep. So I do add extra insurance after $175.
And you
but
just do USPS, not the ship cover?
I do USPS. I don't have any
Okay, I was
problem.
starting to scroll through all the terms of service, and I was like, I'll just ask him for like reading this.
Yep, I'm on the same page as Harry. Harry says his rule is he self-insures up to 175 because most shipping has $100 insurance built in. Yep. So I do the same thing. Yep. Exactly. All right. Well, guys, I really appreciate the good turnout this morning. I hope you guys keep coming at 9. We'll be back on Monday, but following this call, we have the clothing call, and then we have serious sellers at 11. So I'll be back for the serious sellers at 11, and that's not recorded, so you guys don't have to worry about sharing your numbers. I encourage you guys to come though. So I appreciate you.